Hello, welcome to Screencast 23 for the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland Introduction to Vectorworks. So this is kind of continuing on from the previous screencast in the fact I've got similar objects, extrusions from basic geometric shapes. I would still say it's best to create your shapes in 2D first and then extrude, but you can always create your extrusions first, like in this example here. I've extruded a circle and extruded a rectangle without joining them together in the 2D world, because I can select both objects and then do model, and these four commands at the top are kind of similar to my modify commands I was using in the 2D world, but the model add solids will add the two 3D objects together, glue them together into a new solid addition, it's called. Bear in mind that even though it looks like one object, it still remembers the two shapes that it was made from. So if I wanted to take that circle there and change its radius from 301 to 400, make it a bit bigger, and then exit, then the shape that it was made from also changes. So solid additions and solid subtractions are editable. A solid subtraction, I'll do a circle. I'm working in the 3D world at the moment. Probably wouldn't normally do this, but it's just so I can show you. Now this object here has an extrusion of 500, so I'm going to extrude this one slightly higher at 510, just so you can see. Then if I place this object in the middle of this one here, well, you can kind of see what's happening there. It's glitched a little bit. Let's make it 550. It doesn't really matter with the object which is about to be cutting a hole in the middle of the 3D object, because it's going to vanish anyway. So it's best making it a little bit bigger. So if I choose both those objects there and do model subtract solids, then it's asking me which is the object I want to keep. And it's kind of obvious I want to keep the yellow one, but if I was doing something more complicated and it wasn't that obvious, I can switch the object that I want to keep by using the back and forward tools here. But it got it right. It knew I wanted to keep the yellow object there, and OK, and that punches a hole through the middle of that object. And just like before, if we edit the solid and I wanted to change the size of this to it's 160, let's make it 220, so a bigger object there, and then exit. Again, I can edit the objects if they are additions or subtractions. They will remain like that unless I went to modify convert into generic solids. If I tried to do that, or if I do that, I can, but it says once you commit an object to a generic solid, it cannot be edited. So it might be worth if you're not doing anything massively complicated, just keep it as an editable object, a subtraction or an addition, to allow you to edit rather than committing it to a generic solid. The next command that we'll just go through is just check that that's overlapping the way I think it is. Yeah. So the next command, possibly not the greatest kind of demo here, is it will create a new object from the overlapping shape. Again, it's not going to be particularly interesting, because so you can change that object a little bit. Do a stretch it out a bit, make it a bit bigger. So I'm using the 2D reshape, or the reshape tool, to show that you can again, it was an extruded object, but it remembered what it was made from. And again, the extrusion is exactly the same height as the thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to just make it slightly bigger so it makes it obvious. slightly higher. Come on, extrusion. 550. There we go. So now if I select both objects, all that was just so I've got something a little bit more obvious as a model intersect solids. That object there is the intersecting part of the two three-dimensional objects. I'm going to back out of that and get rid of it again because it's not massively interesting. I think I might just join it onto there just for the next one. So select them both and we'll model add. There we go. The last command in the model there, section, is a little harder to understand but still very powerful. So I'm going to go back to top plan view and I'm going to go into my 3D tool set here and choose a 3D polygon. So I'm going to just draw a polygon around the, so use smart points there, lock it with the shift tool there. So that's a 3D polygon, meaning it's the polygon has a space in the 3D world. It's not the same as the 2D polygon there. And if I go to the front command and rotate, because it's a 3D polygon, I can rotate the polygon up in space. You wouldn't be able to do that with a regular polygon. I'll just kind of spin that around a little bit. Hopefully we can see what's going on. So now I can section solids. So click both and do model section solids, and it's asking me which is the sectioning object. I don't want to keep the sectioning. I don't want to keep this rectangle, so I can not click that and do OK, and it's sliced the my shape using that 3D polygon, like a slicey tool right the way through it. So quite a good way of you might, if you're working on a rake or something and you want to slice through an object in order to give it the anti-raking properties, then that's an interesting way of doing it as well. So have a play with those things, glue some 3D objects together, punch some holes in things, use the 3D polygon to slice it in an interesting fashion, and you could even go and have a look at fillet edge and chamfer edge. These are 3D versions of the 2D tools that we've used before, so I've been through how they work. What you will need to do is, if you choose 3D fillet, you choose fillet radius again, so we do the same thing as before. You choose an edge, and the one slightly different thing is that you need to do a little tick there, and that kind of commits the fillet. So just one extra step, but you can see there you've got a nice filleted edge. I'll unselect it so it looks better. So have a play around with those. There are other 3D tools in 3D shapes in here, spheres and cones and things like that that you can maybe make some interesting shapes out of. Enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.